From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, I talked about it during the afternoon update, and of course in more detail there. You can go to YouTube and check some of the past videos from today and look out the afternoon update here. You kind of get a little bit more detail on what happened. But of course, we can't go through this evening and through today without really talking about it in the evening forecast as well, because it certainly was a big story. I mean, social media blew up, and boy, I posted shortly after it happened, and a lot of comments, a lot of people kind of reporting where they were in the reports. I want to thank you all for, of course, that support and give me that information. There's also someone on my social media feed on Facebook who posted a video in Day, California, which is just north of MacArthur. And you could kind of see the shaking on the camera. Kind of interesting. Be sure to check that out on Facebook. But check this out. This is what it looked like, of course, today. Now, what we're going to do is I want to just show you the main event that happened at 10:24 this morning at a 5.0 on the Richter scale. There were many others that followed that through the morning hours here that were obviously smaller, but this was the big main event here. Now, what's interesting is there was an earthquake that happened before that. In fact, at 10:13 this morning, a 2.9, obviously not as big, not as many people felt it, but you can see how close it was to the Willows area, for example. So kind of a lot of seismic activity here in the Northstate here this morning. And we take a look at the Richter scale and just kind of give you some perspective on the size. So you can see anything below 2.5, it's not always felt. So at a 2.5 to 5.4, you rarely have any damage in there. And so when we were at that 2.9 to the one near Willows, not everyone probably felt it, but there were probably a lot of people that did. All right, so when you get to 5.5 to 6.0, that's when you start seeing slight damage. So again, to put it in perspective, the one that was up in northeastern Shasta County near Bernie and MacArthur, for example, that was a 5.0. So as of, there probably wasn't a lot of damage out there, if any, but I'm sure a lot of people felt it, and it sure did probably give a lot of people a scare. Then you start going to 6, 7, and 8, and that's when you start hearing about more of that damage here, major and catastrophic damage. So from the kind of looking at the main category, certainly a big earthquake, but the good news is there wasn't any massive damage reported from it either. All right, so here's the deal. We have got below normal highs through the rest of the week and even in the first half of the weekend. Now, by the time we get to the second half of the weekend, Sunday, Monday, maybe even Tuesday, we're talking about some warmer temperatures, but just barely above normal for this time of the year, if not right around normal. But kind of looking down the line here, no major heat waves and no rain through next week. Although there may be some rain. And we'll take a look at Futurecast here in a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But let's take a look at what we have here going into tonight. Temperatures low 60s. Temperatures tonight, right? And then as we go into tomorrow, should be looking at highs in the low 90s. So again, no big changes from what we've seen the last few days. All right, if you take it to the mountains, no big changes here either. Looking at mainly sunny skies in the afternoon, temperatures in the low to mid 80s for your daytime highs in the mountains. So what we had this morning, and even for the first half of the afternoon, are some clouds that moved through. Very weak disturbance that generated some of these clouds, but didn't obviously bring us any rainfall. Did help to keep slow down the trend of those temperatures going up through the day. So certainly helping to kind of keep things a little bit cooler, especially this morning. But when we look at Futurecast, yeah, we're talking mainly sunny skies. There could be a couple of passing clouds on Saturday, not to mention on your Sunday as well, but mainly sunny skies even for the mountains, and not to mention out along the coast. And then we take a look at the long range, and this is what I'm talking about, potential for some rain possibly. But I'm not going to put in the forecast just yet, because this is the first I've seen it in the long range. And we're looking at right now what's known as the GFS, or the American Forecast Model. Quite honestly, I mean, you look at the European forecast model, it too is showing some signs of maybe some showers and thunderstorms in the higher elevations on Thursday. Now, again, this is the first sign from both forecast models. So keep it tuned in here and you'll get a better idea, especially if you do have plans next week. Note that we may finally start talking about some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast here as we get into the latter part of next week. But for now, I'm not putting it in the long-range forecast just yet. And of course, it looks like it stays dry, at least for now, going into that next weekend. Now, temperature-wise, yeah, as I mentioned, temperature is going up a bit. Now, the normal high for Reading is 95. So we're going to be just right around that as we go into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but then temperature's dropping again. And in fact, look at that by that next Monday, it's dropping down to the upper 80s. So obviously this upcoming Monday, we're talking 96, but then through next week, into that next weekend, low 90s, and then we could even see temperatures in the upper 80s by that next Monday. All right, so let's take a look at our forecast here for tonight. And you can see dropping down to the low 60s for most of us in the valley. We take in the mountains, we're looking at temperatures 40s and 50s. And for tomorrow, no big surprises here. Right around 91 degrees, pretty much anywhere you go in the valley, give or take. Temperatures in the 80s, low to even some mid-80s for your daytime highs on Saturday. For Etna, 85, 87 for Wairika, Alturas about 81. There you can see Aden, 78, Susanville, 82 degrees, about 77 degrees in Shingletown. All right, so looking at your 7-day outlook, what we're talking about here, temperatures just staying in the low to mid 80s here for Mount Shasta, for example, the next 7 days. Low to mid 80s here for Alturas, and how about the same for Susanville? Now, what you're seeing here, you see that on Thursday? Some clouds being introduced into the forecast. This was when we saw that long range showing the potential for some rain. So, maybe sometime this weekend, if I start to see more consistency in that potential for rain, I may include the chance for rain there on Thursday. But for now, I'm keeping it dry. All right. We take a look at the 7-day outlook for the valley. Temperatures are warming up, as mentioned, in the mid to possibly even some upper 90s for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But then we start to see those temperatures drop again for Tuesday through Friday of next week.